Alyssa, are you ready? Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and open up the work session of the mayor and council for September 3rd, 2020. Before we get started, I just want to say a word about one of our local reporters who is usually in our meetings, and it's Prissy Sullivan. She was in a pretty serious car accident in the last few days, and she is at Grady right now, and my understanding is she's not doing that well, so I want to make sure that we all keep her in our thoughts and prayers. She is she's been an asset and a staple of this community for as long as I've been around, and so we wish her well tonight. With that, I do need to make a couple of changes to the work session agenda. I've been given a couple of items to add, and let me get a little help about where we want to put them, Tom. I got one for public safety, and I've got one for recreation. And I don't think either of those are on the agenda. Either of those sections are on the agenda today. Where you want to put them? You just want to put them at the end? All right. So we'll just add at the end of the meeting these two items. One of them is F-150 for CID. We'll take that one first. And then mowers for the recreation department, we'll take that one second. We'll just do it at the very end of the agenda today.
Is that E2 and 3?
We could do that, sure. Let's make it E3 and 4.
Oh, I only have a... Okay.
All right, that's fine. We'll call them E3 and 4. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and move into this work session agenda. The first three items will be presented by Community Development, Bobby Elliott. They are alcoholic beverage applications. We will not be adding these items to the consent agenda. So let's just get a brief presentation, and we'll see if council has any questions before we move along. Go ahead, Bobby.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first one is a alcoholic beverage application for F&B Edge Road LLC. They currently have a license, but we've got a change of ownership. Three partners had it, and I think one bought the other two out. Aisha Fazi, Muhammad Fazi, and Akbar Bamini were the three owners. Mr. Bamini has assumed ownership, and they got to transfer the license to just him in his name.
Okay, council, does anyone have any questions on this first application? Okay, if not, Bobby, let's go ahead with item 2.
Mr. Mayor, the second one is VED Enterprises, an application to serve alcoholic beverages to hotel guests at Days Inn, 195 Commerce Drive. This particular application is a direct result of the alcoholic beverage change that we had at our last meeting. Happy hour, tokens. This allows him to do that with a fee. So he's made application to do that.
Okay. Council, does anyone have any questions on this second one?
I think that actually answered my question, because I had looked through the material and saw that it was Days Inn, but I'm going, they don't have a restaurant or anything like that, so it's something for a fee, guest in their lobby, cafe area.
It's free.
Free,
The fee is to us.
I see, got it.
Okay, any other
I
questions?
think that fee is $1,000 per year, I think, is what they have to pay
I see.
to get to do that.
Any other questions? All right, Bobby, let's go to number 3.
Mr. Mayor, the third one is an application to by Fong's Market on West Wilson Street to serve beer and wine at their restaurant, Fong's Asian Market. All aspects of the ordinance it's in compliance with that. So this is a brand new license application.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on this one? All right, if there are no questions, Bobby, all three of these applicants intend to be here Tuesday night?
Yes, sir, they will be here.
Okay, and we'll have a public hearing then and take these up.
Yes, sir.
All right, at this time, we will move on to RA 0120, rezoning request of Hickory Level Road and Georgia Highway 61, parcel number V0701404411, IHOP, and public hearing with Ronald Johnson. So
Yes.
this will be a
Ron-
presentation tonight, and then we'll do a public hearing on Tuesday.
Yes, sir, Ron's going to present this one, the next two, actually.
All right, Ron, come on up.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. This application, RA-01-20, is a request by Assad Mazahir of Marietta, Georgia, to construct a 3,500 square foot IHOP location on a 1.6 acre section, the northwest corner section of a 49.12 acre site. The property is currently zoned for C2, commercial medium density, and it would be a permitted use in that location. This is to request for alterations to the interconnectivity of the parcels, the remainder of the 49-acre parcel, in addition to the Popeyes location that was approved in August of last year by the City Council. There's been some engineering issues, just like with that application, for why they cannot connect this site because of the major drop-offs in the area. I did look at, and I don't believe it actually made it onto the smaller sheets that were included in your packet, but there is the larger print sets that the engineer has that has actually included pedestrian walkways on the Hickory Level Road section, only in front of this parcel. So it would basically be a sidewalk from nowhere to nowhere, being that there's no sidewalks on either side of those driveways either, for the Popeyes and for the IHOP that would be constructed. But as far as interconnectivity sidewalk-wise to the rest of the site, there's no plans for that right now.
Okay, I believe we have maybe an internet issue. I'm not able to get this pulled up right now, but let me ask council if you have any questions about this application right now.
Regarding the topography between Popeye site and IHOP site, what will be the change in elevation between the two?
Between IHOP and the Popeyes, there's a 4 to 5 foot contours that we assessed the engineer and I this afternoon. So you're looking at about a 5 foot drop.
So right now, it's almost about 20 feet. So
Right.
they're going to take off 16 feet of that hill?
I would have to actually defer to the engineer to answer that. We have the full sets too with us.
The hill in front is not going to be cut.
No, I'm talking about standing on IHOP property, looking at Popeyes is about a 20-foot drop. So they're going to, if it's going to become a 4-foot.
It'll be a 5-foot drop when they're
So they're going
finished.
to take off 15,
Yes, sir.
16 feet of that hill.
And there's a short section of property that's still owned by the larger track that can interconnect IHOP's parking lot at the appropriate time.
Okay, and that's, I know, we talked about that, Bobby, thank you for bringing that up.
That will work.
But the developer, would they be able to stub that out, or do they have permission to stub that out now, or do we need to wait for future development on that portion before?
The way it's sitting right now, it's practically ready to stub out. I mean,
Okay.
it's because the other's going to connect right to it, so
Okay,
that is workable.
okay,
And the sidewalk issue, there's no way to connect the two with sidewalks?
You can, but it's got to be ADA compliant. And to do ADA compliance between the two, you got to do switchbacks because it can only be, a maximum 1.5% for a wheelchair to roll up and down. And all you got basically between these two are a set of steps. That's it.
So you're not talking about the sidewalks down the road. I'm piggybacking on to Danny here. You're talking about connecting the two, because that was my concern.
Yes,
If
connecting
you're a
the two.
pedestrian walking over from the Holiday Inn or whatever, I want to know what happens. Or somebody pulls in with their kids on a trip and part of the family's going to go to one, others are going to go. What is the connection there between the driveways, anything, or we just have road cuts for both? Because otherwise it'd be nice, you'd go in and you'd go to either. But we're going to have additional,
There's
Road
no,
cuts,
there's
no-
no activity between the two, other than going down a 4-foot bank. If you're going from IHOP down to Popeyes.
okay, so, not talking ADA, okay, 4 feet. That's not very far in stairs, but if you've got to do ADA, is that the problem?
Yes.
That takes up a lot more space?
Yes.
You can't do this?
Well,
Like,
everybody
4
knows what
feet just doesn't seem that far to me.
everybody knows what a switchback is. You slope down to a platform, and then
Right.
you slope back, and then you slope down.
It's
It
too
would-
much.
Would be a considerable expense to try to do that, yes.
So, if I pull into one, and part of us wants to go to the other, you just have the kids jump the wall, or
Or that, or go up
climb.
a set of steps.
There will be a set of steps.
There will be a set of steps.
Okay.
You just can't do it, you just, when we talk about this, I automatically go to ADA accessible,
Okay.
because that's the ultimate, you have to do that.
There's no
You can
sidewalk
put in
over-
steps, though.
Yeah, steps can be put in, yes.
Well, that wasn't even clear. I mean, maybe I missed something, but that wasn't even clear to me. When it said, the connectivity is.
If I had my set, you could see it better.
I tried to look, I tried to blend
Well,
that
what
thing
Ron's
out.
got is a little bit, it's a previous version from the final submittal that I have. It's a lot, there's a sheet that's a lot plainer to describe what we're talking about.
Bobby,
We
just so
just
I'm
want to
clear-
keep things in Villarica citizen-friendly, so,
Yes.
making it hard to get from one to the other doesn't make a bit of sense.
Bobby, just so I'm clear, where would the steps be on the site plan? I'm sorry. Maybe I missed that.
Just
looking at, if you want to take a look at, is it down there with the parking area? Is it
I
up near?
can
your
roll my
level?
big set if you want me to.
That's fine. You want to just show me right here if you want. I'll just pop this off. And
It'll be somewhere right here.
okay.
I don't
So, and
know.
but that's going to be a drive, so it's going to take you down to the drive?
I looked at the site plan, I
yeah.
didn't see nothing.
Okay.
All right, let's get some clarification on what you all are looking at. Is that in our packet, and what page is it? Or what's the document title?
It's the IHOP site plan in the packet.
And there's no sidewalk along Hickory Level Road.
Between the Popeyes driveway and the traffic signal, there will be no sidewalk.
So people from,
IHOP driveway, she's got it up now. From the IHOP driveway to the Popeyes driveway, there is a sidewalk in there. Well, there will be. It just doesn't show on that. That's a grading sheet. That's not the final sheet.
it shows a parking lot, so I figured it would show a sidewalk.
Tuesday night, I will have the final sheet that I'm talking about in your packet.
Okay.
Can
Now,
we have it well, I know Monday is Memorial Day. Is
Labor
it
Day.
possible to get it in our packet tomorrow? So we can have time to look at it?
Without a question.
All right, let's
So-
get that added to the packet for tomorrow. You got something else?
one more item. So Bobby, I think when we talked about this, and maybe this is just, again, this is a different version from what you have at your office.
Pardon me.
Sure.
The vehicular connectivity, see this piece right here with my hand? It's owned by this track.
Right.
So there's the connectivity.
Right. I was asking, I know, because I was talking about, there was a potential sidewalk in that parking lot area right there, if I recall correctly, there was a potential sidewalk in that parking lot along.
You're looking at the storm drain sheet showing the storm drain in the heavy black?
Right.
That is the sidewalk.
Okay.
It's underneath it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Where is the pipeline on this drawing?
Under the.
Under the parking lot.
Pipeline is right here.
Right underneath the parking lot.
They've got permission to park their parking lot on this gas pipeline. They just can't cut it very deep. They just got to shave the top to put it in. I have that agreement, by the way.
Okay, are there any other questions? There'll be a public hearing on this, and this will be represented again on Tuesday night anyway. Are there any additional questions or requests for information? Okay, so you'll, make sure you add that by tomorrow, Bobby, if you can, or Ron, whoever's got it. All right, let's move on to A6, placement of banners for Get Invested Benefit Concert, Bobby Elliott, or who's presenting?
It should actually be another application requiring public hearing, the truck stop.
I missed it. Go ahead.
Sure.
It's A5 CU 0120, special use permit request for Highway 101 at Industrial West for truck stop and public hearing.
Yes.
So let's go
correct.
ahead and present that.
I'm sorry. This would be for a special exception or conditional use, and it's a request by Viral Patel of Marietta, Georgia. And this is to construct a truck stop with a 12,000 square foot convenience center, or convenience store rather, with accessory truck parking, RV parking, and gas pumps for vehicle and for truck traffic as well. So they submitted a concept plan that you all reviewed at the last council meeting on August 11th. That's also a part of this packet as well. And we're looking for action on that item for Tuesday.
For Tuesday. So the applicant will be here.
Yes.
To make a presentation, and we'll do a public hearing on Tuesday.
That's correct, yes.
Council, do you have any preliminary questions before we get that one on Tuesday? Okay, if not, we have seen this at least once, and we'll see it again Tuesday night. Now we'll move on to A6, placement of banners for Get Invested Benefit Concert. Bobby Elliott. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, we've got a request, the Sticks Bar and Grill and Velcro Pygmies are sponsoring a fundraiser for our police department. They requested the placement of 4 temporary banners to kind of promote that event. One is at the 3-way stop at Industrial Boulevard and Rockmart Road, one at Triangle at Westview Drive and Bankhead Highway, corner of Mirror Lake Boulevard and Connors Road, and the 3-way stop at Main Street and Dallas Highway across the street from Happy Valley Church.
Okay, council, are there any questions for this?
These
All right,
be
we're
put
off
up
from
the week
the-
before, or longer than that, you know. Well, it's the 11th. It's
A week before banners or now or what?
Where we wanted to put the banners up immediately after they did their performance for the Gold Rush.
Rush.
As soon as that is over, we wanted to put up the permits for advertising for our Get Invested for the
Okay.
city.
so
Okay.
September 11th to October 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's clarify those dates, if you would, Bobby.
The end of the Gold Rush,
Gold Rush is on September 12th. The Pygmies play on the 11th. Right. And then this event is on October 3rd.
So they'll go in Monday after that weekend, Tuesday?
we'd love to do it on the 12th.
Yeah, Saturday the 12th.
Okay.
When you'll have a lot of traffic going by them.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, okay. Well, keep in mind, this is a benefit for our police department too, so there's a good reason for us to be partners on this. So if there are no other questions and no objections, I'll place this on the consent agenda. Be our first item.
We have one.
All right, let's move on. Thank you, Bobby. We will now go to B, utilities. Pete Zerbanos, item number 1, emergency rebuild of number 1 high service pump at the water plant. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This first item is a request for the emergency rebuild of the number 1 high service pump at the water plant. On July 26th, the operator that was on shift heard a loud grinding sound and a lot of severe vibration on this particular pump. When the pump was pulled, it was determined that the shaft was broken and a lot of the internal parts needed to be replaced. Due to the condition and age of the pump, it was decided to do a total rebuild. Staff is recommending the emergency rebuild of the number 1 high service pump by Goforth Williamson in the amount of $23,000.
All right, council, does anybody have any questions? All right, if there are no questions, I will add that to the consent agenda. There are no objections. All right, let's move on to B2.
Before you leave that,
Yep.
I'm looking, I couldn't get it to come up, but I'm looking at Goforth Williams, quote 1 and quote 2. What's the deal there?
Well, you're looking at them refurbishing the pump and the bowls that are associated with the pump itself, and then the other part is for reconditioning the motor on the pump
Okay,
together.
all right.
The
I
two
couldn't
of
get it-
those,
I'm sorry.
the
I
two
couldn't
of
get it
those
to come
total the
up.
23,000.
All right.
Okay, that item will be on the consent agenda. Let's move on to B2, sewage air relief valve replacement. Go ahead.
Okay, if you'll recall, we had identified the need to replace 44 air relief valves in our system, primarily on the force mains on the sewer lines. So last year, we purchased 20 of them, and this is to request purchasing the remaining 24 air relief valves. It's important that we replace these so it'll extend the longevity of the pumps and also make them more efficient by releasing air that may be airbound and trapped, and make it much more difficult for pumps to operate. We had several bids, and the staff is recommending to purchase the 24 Crispin UX20 stainless steel air relief valves from Consolidated Pipe and Supply Company Incorporated, who was the lowest bidder in the amount of $37,728.
All right. Council, does anyone have any questions?
Nope.
All right, if there are no questions and no objections, I'll place that on the consent agenda. B3, replacement of number 2 pump at Ashley Place Lift Station.
Yes, we're requesting to replace this number 2 at Ashley Place Lift Station. As you'll recall, we did an extensive evaluation of all the lift stations, and this pump was coming to the end of its life service, or its service life, and staff is recommending the replacement of the number 2 pump by Goforth Williamson in the amount of $11,880.
Is this the lift station that services the falls as well?
Yes.
Or is there a separate one? Because I thought this one was somewhat dormant for a while.
I don't think it's been dormant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may be thinking about something different. All right, council, anybody have any questions? All right, if there are none and no objections, I'll place this item on the consent agenda. B4, complete Trojan ultraviolet disinfection replacement parks kit.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We're requesting a complete refit on our the Trojan UV system. That is a major component of the West plant's disinfection, and also to be able to stay in compliance. The UV system had replaced chlorination in wastewater, so when the plant was built, the city opted to install a UV system. This kit will provide, we have 2 banks, Bank A and Bank B, and we have 32 lamps in each bank for a total of 64, and all the components that go with it. So we're requesting, staff's recommending the purchase of a complete set of replacement parts for the Trojan UV system from Templeton and Associates in the amount of $42,264.
All right, council, any questions?
What's the lifespan of these UV lamps? I use the same kind of system in my air conditioning and I have to replace the lamps every 18 months, and they're expensive.
That's about right. I would say anywhere from 9,000 hours to 13 to 15,000 hours. So 9 hours is a little over a year. 13, I think, puts you about a year and a half.
So we're talking about $24,000 in lamps every year?
Yes.
This isn't just lamps.
And this isn't just lamps.
know, this is
This is
ballasts
a
and
thorough,
you-
we're gonna be going through the whole system.
And I know if UV lamps burn out, they also burn out the ballast. If you try
Correct.
and run the lamp, and the ballast overheats and burns out too.
Right.
Okay,
I appreciated the question, because most of the items here, when I looked at them, they were budgeted. You know, you explained why, what's critical about it. And this was probably the only one that just gave me pause for a minute, but I didn't know that because I don't have these at home. I know hospitals, everybody's using more UV, go through, disinfect things and all that. Newer technology replaces chlorine as a disinfectant. I'm reading your impact. Disinfectant having less impact on the environment. It is essential for maintaining regulatory compliance. So I guess my only question is, okay, so it's newer technology, it's replacing chlorine, and it also says maintaining regulatory compliance. I'm guessing that you can do either and still maintain, but this is considered better than chlorine,
No,
has less
no,
impact on the
No,
environment?
you can't use chlorine.
Okay,
It-
so,
Okay, so back in the day, that was pretty standard technology,
Mm-hmm.
just disinfecting with chlorine. But, so, the state, when plants were approved, preferred and required that they go with UV treatment rather than chlorine to turn that back into the environment. So, the West plant was designed with UV to start with. I don't have the option to feed chlorine as a disinfectant.
okay, so
UV's it.
to Councilman Young's question then in that case, it doesn't matter what they cost, this is what we have to do, correct?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's what I needed to know. It's our only option, so unless
It
there's a
is.
better price on the bulbs, other than that, okay, I'm good.
If we just knew your question, we could answer that up front. All right, if there are no other questions, are there? You just got the answer. Then I'll place this item on the consent agenda if there are no objections.
No objection.
All right, thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our favorite topic these days, information technology with Jim Chambers, starring Jim Chambers. C1 AV system for Civic Center. He's been on this platform a few times tonight trying to get several things working.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is to replace the current audio-video system that's over at the Civic Center located at the V-Plex. The current one is, to say out of date, it'd be an understatement. I just removed a VHS player about 2 months ago out of it, so,
A what? Say that
a
again.
VHS player, so.
At least it wasn't Betamax.
Now you're going way back.
It's,
All right.
it's pretty old. Just recommend that we use Relico to install an updated audio-video system at the Civic Center for $25,095.
All right, so this was budgeted, and Relico, we are using Relico.
Not for AV, and the reason I didn't make a switch from CEI is this room right here, when we did the flop, or the switch, to flop it from this side to this side.
Yeah, I don't like that word.
They left a lot to be desired. As a matter of fact, they still have a few programming issues hanging out there that haven't been completed yet. So, you know, I think it's time to make a switch, and this is not as a high, profile job as that is. So
I understand.
And Relico, we got a great working relationship. Anytime I call them out, they come out and do a lot of good work. So I'm more than willing to give them a shot. Plus, they were the low bidder.
Okay. All right, council, any questions?
Is there any benefit in them being a subsidiary of Coweta Fayette EMC?
Proximity.
A bigger company? Yeah.
Their proximity. That's about it. I mean, they are very responsive. I know for PD, whenever they've got cameras down, they've been pretty good about coming
All
out.
right, so they service our PD cameras?
They service all of our surveillance cameras and like any type of access control. We got it's a company we trust.
Okay.
What were you adding to that, Tom? Was it
I don't
information?
see it, actually, so,
The motion's not exactly the same as the rest of it.
oh, I see, okay. So the motion is $5 short, is that correct? From the
We can probably
amount
find that.
of the
We can fix
bid.
that.
So,
How do you do that?
what do you want to do, David?
How do you put it on consent and change the motion to?
We're $5 short.
I think it's just a clerical error, and you just make.
We'll still do it, okay.
We'll
And
still
Jim
put it
could
on
just pay it out
consent.
of his pocket, though.
To stop from doing Tuesday, I gladly would.
I thought you might. All right, so council, any other questions? All right, if not, I'll place this item on the consent agenda, and you can make the clerical error correction with the
I'll send
city
it.
clerk. All right, let's move on to C2, access control for police department and city hall.
And this is just basically proximity cards instead of using keypads, keys. With today's climate, don't touch anything. This gives us that option to where we're touching less services and stuff like that. Plus, it gives us better security and logging of information of people coming in and out. I know key control is an issue. I don't think we've really had good key control in the past because there's just changed too many hands over the years. So this would be able to eliminate that. I would definitely recommend after we implemented access control that we redo our keys as well, our locks.
So this is a budgeted item, and the amount is $17,835.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't remember us talking about this specific technology, but I don't object to it. Council, do you have any questions?
So this is, you wave the little card and
Yes,
next to
sir.
it? Okay.
How will the public have access to City Hall?
The door will still be open whenever they come in to open the facility. They'll just have the door open.
Yeah, Jim, if you would just expand just a little bit, the note I wrote to myself, expand on the improved security info. Okay, so I got the whole wave thing, the card. So I'm guessing based on some other systems elsewhere, it tells you who's coming in, what time they're coming in, so I
Correct.
don't know, so you tell
Like
me.
if somebody comes in and sets the alarm off at City Hall, like I think we've had that happen a few times, or the alarm gets set off, and we can go back to the access control, not just the cameras, but the access control, and see, okay, well, who made entry and stuff like that, the time they were in, the time they left. It just gives us better logging information as far as that goes.
And this will be City Hall, and then the police department, same sort of thing.
Correct.
All right, any other questions? All right, if there are no objections, I'll place this item on the consent agenda.
No objection.
All right, thank you, Jim. We will now hear from Finance, D1, Sarah Andrews, 2020 budget amendments. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I do have some budget amendments for our current year budget for you. The first item is a continuation of this courtroom remodel. We've had some other invoices come in for a total of $6,071, and we're going to, this expense was split partially between the general fund, and then the rest of it came out of the 2008 SPLOST. So I'm asking to take the rest of this from the 2008 SPLOST. I think it was actually these tables and podium, and maybe something else. The next item is the stormwater improvements. So stormwater, with other projects that were already budgeted, they've overspent the stormwater improvement line item. We still have these 2008 SPLOST funds available, so I'm proposing that we use $15,000 of what was going to be a senior vehicle. I think we had $70,000 budgeted for a bus. I've actually been taking away from that since we aren't getting that bus, and asking to use that for stormwater improvements.
And we aren't getting the bus because,
We don't have, not operating the program,
well, I know we aren't right now.
so eventually we'll do it.
Okay, because the bus would have been bought this year. There was nothing going on because of COVID, so
Yep.
it might show up in 2021 budget,
2022.
22. Okay.
All right, next, police vehicle replacement. So they had a vehicle that was wrecked, vehicle number 5771, totaled the vehicle and the equipment, and so those items have been purchased, but I needed to true up the budget. So part of it is coming from insurance proceeds. The rest of it, we budget every department with kind of some self-pay claim money for either when we have to pay a deductible on an insurance claim, or if it's smaller than the deductible, we have to pay it out of pocket. So I try to put all the departments, like $5,000 per department. For the police department, we give them a much bigger amount. So that's where the remainder is coming from. $23,410 is coming from that line item. Okay. The next item came up just recently. Since the zoning ordinance was passed, MuniCode has come back and said it will cost just over $10,000 to have that codified. And so trying to get that done and in this budget. So I'm asking y'all to increase the books and periodicals line item, and I'm taking it from various items that haven't been used this year in community development, travel, training, and advertising to make up for that.
So if it's being codified, being that we always want everything to be accurate that gets codified, is anybody reading that whole thing before we put it in MuniCode? You know what I'm talking about? Make sure.
I actually asked Chris to give me the correct copy to send to them before I sent it,
Okay.
so, than what I had before, so.
Yes, he had a change on roofing at the last minute, right? Roofing slopes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
go ahead.
Next item is the electrical at the Avante building. So last week, actually, we were trying to have the millage public hearing, and there was an electrical outage, fire, all that. So Nick's come back and said we need $13,450 of work done for the, I guess, the damage that was done then. So I'm proposing, this is coming out of that senior bus as well, to be paid for out of the old SPLOST. Trying to use that up if you can't tell. It's
Gotcha.
2008. We're
Can
in
I
2020.
backtrack one?
Yes.
Where it said, I had this written down and missed it, travel and training, so we took money for the codification of the zoning code. Whose travel and training is that? Came out of whose budget?
Those came out of community development.
Okay. Everybody did a lot less travel and training
Yes.
this year.
All right, next. Can you keep going?
Go ahead.
Scroll up. Okay, the next item is one of the items you actually added to the end of the agenda. Recreation needs two 72-inch mowers for infield mowing. Trying to fund one from that 08 SPLOST. And another one we are funding from their savings and operating supplies. Since the recreation department has been down, they have not spent the operating supplies that were budgeted. So I'm asking to take one of those mowers from the savings and operating supplies. Okay, next item, the next two are actually two that Pete just presented. So he had, I think it was $249,000 budgeted as infrastructure capital, and these two items are not actually capital, like replacing the bulbs for the UV system. Those are just maintenance. So I'm actually taking money from the infrastructure line item and to put it back into the M&R equipment line item because it's not a capital purchase, it's just maintenance and repair. And same with the other one, it's 24 air release valves. We are moving that. Did you present that one tonight, Pete? Is he already gone? Okay, yes. So same situation. I'm having to put the funds in the right place. And the next item is a truck for Public Works. Okay, so back in April, Charlie presented purchasing 5 trucks for various departments when there was going to be savings in one department that was going to be used to offset a purchase in a different department. So once that's all been flushed out, part of the money was coming from the water and sewer fund and Jimmy's department, distribution and collection, to help cover one of the vehicles that was purchased actually for the general fund for, I believe it was the city engineer. So I'm just needing to clean that up. So it's a transfer from water and sewer for $19,728 to the general fund capital fund to cover that difference.
Okay, so you covered the, was it the F-150? No, the mowers. Okay, so the mowers you have in here for the budget amendments, but you do not have the the CID vehicle.
Yes.
Does that need to be in here?
It does. I didn't
Okay.
know if it was too late to, I could add it and then present it on Tuesday. It's up to you.
Well, I was gonna hold off about placing this on the consent agenda until after we talk about the last 2 items, but I
Okay.
realize you don't have the budget amendment in here for,
Right.
What is the bottom one, the truck for the Public Works? That's not it, huh?
No.
no, that's different. Okay, well, we'll just wait on the budget amendments until Tuesday, till you add that, or do you want to add just that by itself and bring just that one item
I could do
Tuesday?
that separately.
Okay, so with that, council, do you have any questions?
Yeah, back up to the mowers. I noticed you're doing 11,000 on a bunch of items here, but I'm seeing the price on these mowers, 19,000. What is this, just an adjustment to get the numbers up to where they belong?
Well, I did 11, I was doing a pure estimate based on what we knew at the time. Last night, Charlie got a better estimate, which is what he'll be presenting later for the actual expense, but my budget amendment is just an estimate. So,
So
I think
maybe you could just present both of those.
okay.
Well, I don't
Well,
know, because if I go ahead and do
Yeah.
this one,
Put it on consent.
all right, we just won't put it on, I won't put any of it on
Okay,
consent.
I'll make
All
the
right, council,
change.
any other questions before we move on?
Nope.
All right, so thank you, Sarah. We will not place this on the consent agenda. We'll take a look at it again on Tuesday, and hopefully we can get an abbreviated version. Let's move on to E1, Tom Barber, set dates for 2020 cleanup week.
We have a week in October where we pick up some things on the curb that we don't normally deal with, including a Wednesday where we'll actually go onto property, you know, say pick up something off of a front porch or out of a garage. We'd like to do that on the dates you see here. With the, again, using Wednesday as the special day. We'll continue to do the waiver before we go on site. There's a Keep Carol Beautiful event. Yeah, somebody's gonna have to help me. Is it the 2 weekends before this or the weekend before this? Anyway, we wanted to follow that in hopes that they would catch as much of, if they're doing electronics or whatever they're doing that day, so that we don't have to deal with it. But that's our recommendation for this year.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on this? Council? I was looking at, my internet's not working. Do we have a flyer made up for this yet? The items that will be included, that kind of thing? Because we need to make that public.
No,
Yeah,
we'll do what we
man,
did
that's right
last
there.
year.
We need to make sure we get that together. I have no problem with this week. Does anybody else have any questions or any issues with this week?
What were the dates? Because my internet's down.
Can you say the dates again? Oh, there it is.
19th to October 23rd.
19 to 23rd, with the special day being the 21st, Wednesday.
We'll have to go with Lisa.
So if there are no objections to that, I will place that on the consent agenda.
Okay.
All right, so let's do that. And, whoops, let me change my notes here. Yeah, we're not having good luck with this internet today, Jim.
Mine just came back up, but it disappeared.
Okay, so let's, Tom, let's move on to publication of new zoning ordinance on Municode.
All right, the good and the bad of the zoning ordinance is we got it approved, and it's a big improvement. The bad is it's not all text, which is sort of the default for Municode. And so for us to put our new code on there is quite expensive. But we recommend that nevertheless because there's not really a plan B. So $10,111 to do that. We'd like to go ahead and get that in the works.
All right, council, does anybody have any questions? I think you all probably seen this last week when it came out. We were probably all stunned at the cost, but
Yeah, Tom, I'm sorry, that was, clarify again, the cost is because it's,
Has all the graphics in it. It's not text.
I appreciate some of those pictures. It made it a
tables.
little easier to read all those pages every now and then when you'd hit a picture.
Yeah.
well, they're required
Okay.
for demonstration
yeah.
purposes. I mean, when you're looking at it, you need to understand what's going on in
Oh,
the
absolutely, the
requirements.
signs and everything, yeah, no, it's
So
very
the amount is $10,111. I just got it to pull up.
Wow.
All right.
That's a
Are there
lot.
any other questions from council?
The images only cost $1,500. It was 462 pages of text at $8,300.
Yeah.
It's not all because of the images. It's, you know,
Just made it-
$1,500 is images,
It's
the rest
long.
of it
Made
is.
it worse.
It was long.
Okay. All right. If there are no objections, I'll place this on the consent agenda.
No objection.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take up E3 now. The CID vehicle, Ford F-150. Who will be presenting that? Captain Shaddix. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yes, sir.
You look really good in the mask.
Yeah, I have to take it off because I can't talk to you and hear me with it on.
I
And a very
understand.
nice tie.
Thank you very much.
It's a good time.
So-
It's loud.
What we're proposing is, due to the COVID-19, hiring officers, we had some open positions we couldn't fill because the academies were shut down, and it threw us having some money left over in payroll because of being short officers and not being able to hire anyone. We have an opportunity to buy a 2020 Ford F-150. It's a super cab, so it's not the four-door model, but it does have the doors, like the suicide doors that open up. So you have the full area, full bench seat behind the front seat. We can get this vehicle right now. I found one that's on the lot that's available for $25,773. I believe is the count. I think it's $25,007 something. That's about $10,000 less than what the sticker price is. And part of that's available because of state contracting and because of government incentives from Ford to buy the vehicles or to help governments out with buying them. So we have an opportunity to do this now with the money that's in the budget that's not being used what we intended it for. We thought this was a great opportunity now to spend that.
Okay, and you intend to Crown Vic maybe to codes? Do
Actually,
you know?
actually, I think it'll be a Ford Focus,
Okay,
which is a very small car that we've made good use of, but it's started to get some age on it, and the miles are getting high on it. So this will give us a bigger vehicle, better able to transport things, but also be able to slide one down to, and I'm not sure where. I talked to Nick about moving it to another department, but maybe with somebody that just needs transportation, doesn't need the bigger vehicle.
okay. So I noticed it's very unusual for me to see a new vehicle, certainly a Ford vehicle
Yes, sir.
that doesn't have Don Rich Ford as the low bidder. But I see that you did talk with
I
Don
did-
Rich and
I
they
did
were not
spoke-
able.
I did spend time yesterday talking to Bart Smith, and he said there was no way possible he could get a truck doing that. We could get a Ford Escape, but honestly, the price was almost the same amount. And for the same amount, the truck would be a better buy.
Okay, and that truck is gonna be $25,773, paid for with savings out of unfilled positions during the COVID timeframe. Okay,
Correct, sir.
council, does anybody have any questions? All right, if there are no questions and no objections, I'll place this item on the consent agenda. All right, thank you, sir. Let's hear from, is it Charlie? E4, what are we calling this thing? Purchase of 2 each Exmark 72-inch zero-turn mowers for Recreation Department for dedicated use on the ball fields.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
We have 2 people with the Recreation Department that just take care of the maintenance on the interior of the ball fields within the fence. They've been using some of our older mowers on the ground maintenance crew, which are getting pretty rough use because of cutting on the right-of-ways. This will let them have some equipment that's dedicated to just the infields. It'll let them have a much more level cut and make the ball fields look as well as they can. And it's really replacing some equipment that was stolen a few years ago that never got replaced because they don't have any right now. So this will take care of getting the rec department back to having their own dedicated mowers for them to take care of.
Did we have any insurance proceeds from that theft? Did we have any offsetting proceeds other than what you presented in the budget amendment, Sarah?
I'll have to look into that.
Okay, I think we'd be interested in knowing that. With that, council, does anybody have any questions?
I believe it'll be below our deductible on it.
Okay, all right, well, that makes sense, but I just wanted to ask. All right, if there are no questions and no objections, I'll place this item on the consent agenda. I know it's needed.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's, Tom, do you have anything to add before I get to, okay. All right, we're gonna do public comments now. We do public comments at the end of a work session, at the beginning of a regular council meeting. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak today? No one has signed up? All right, is there anyone who would like to speak? All right, seeing no takers, we'll close that. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
And nothing from Tom. Council, does anybody have anything? All right, if not, we will be adjourned, and I'll see you all.
Review the consent agenda item.
Oh,
Yeah.
this man's gonna get me every time. All right, we need to go over the consent agenda. All right, Madam Clerk, are you ready? All right, first item will be A6, placement of banners for Get Invested benefit concert. B1, emergency rebuild of number 1 high service pump at the water plant. B2, sewage air relief valve replacement. B3, replacement of number 2 pump at Ashley Place lift station. B4, complete Trojan ultraviolet disinfection replacement parks kit. C1, AV system for Civic Center. C2, access control for Police Department and City Hall. E1, set dates for 2020 cleanup week. E2, publication of new zoning ordinance on Municode. E3, Ford F-150 CID vehicle. And E4, purchase of 2 each Exmark 72-inch zero-turn mowers for the Recreation Department for dedicated use on the ball fields. Does anyone see anything different?
Nope.
All right, that'll be the consent agenda. See you all Tuesday night.